Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and I just wanted to quickly say that this video is a little different than the ones that we've been posting on here thus far. This is taken directly from our podcast, the Andrew and Drew podcast. We did an entire episode just reviewing Thor Love and Thunder, and because of that, I didn't really feel like making a separate video about it because all the things I would have said would have been the same, and Drew made good points that I didn't want to throw off or put out there as my own, and I didn't want to not include. So this video is a little longer because it's the length of the podcast episode. The podcast is on Spotify if you'd rather just listen to it, but this video, I figured we could put it out there so maybe other people could be aware of it and hear our points, because I feel like we made some good points on the movie. So playing over it is just clips from the Thor Love and Thunder trailers. The visuals will not line up with the stuff we're talking about. It's just, some Thor footage on top of it. Has nothing to do with the audio content. So don't worry about that all that much. But hope you enjoy our points on Thor Love and Thunder. And if you feel like it, check out the podcast itself. It's available on Spotify and I think a couple other places. So yeah, let's hop into this video.
The movie.
The meat of our conversation.
Yeah. We could do general thoughts right away.
Okay.
And I will say this. I think 85% of it is good. In a technical sense, I realize I'm already I'm gonna backtrack on that really soon. Because just watching it, the worst part of the movie is Thor. The rest of it almost works for me. It's Thor that drove me crazy the whole time. And I'll get into why. But as a movie, I don't hate it. I don't think it deserves as bad reviews it's getting. I don't think it's the worst MCU movie ever made. I really don't. I still enjoy it more than Dark World. But, because here's the thing. Those are my opening thoughts. We'll get into everything else.
Yeah.
For you.
It's not as bad as Dark World, but it takes second place for the lowest MCU for me.
Yeah.
It, even on a technical sense, for a movie standpoint, I didn't think it was written well. I didn't think that, there was a lot of stuff that just, it was here you go, take it. There was no explanation. It was just, here you go, take it. For a lot of stuff, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole, connecting it to the rest of the MCU, where a lot of, that's what's really pissing me off right now with Marvel, is a lot of easy options to tie things together.
They aren't taking.
Which, I actually had a thought about this, just before we get into the movie itself. They aren't tying things in yet. Shang-Chi, at the end of Shang-Chi, walked through a portal with Wong.
Yeah.
Why was he not mentioned, at least, in Doctor Strange, right? Easy option. We even went to the temple or whatever that they went to, I guess. I don't remember.
Kamar-Taj.
Yeah, I don't remember if that's where they went.
I would say in Shang-Chi is probably the Sanctum, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Still someone Wong knows.
Yes, not even mentioned. There's
the Moon Knight example we talked about where he's talking about the Jackal and reference Area 51.
Yep.
12 years, 15, 20 years into this thing where you'd be referencing bigger things.
What I'm thinking is they're going on a time frame basis and not a movie basis. So, how long was it before we had an ensemble in the MCU from the beginning? We had Iron Man?
We had
Hulk?
It was about 4 years.
4 years, exactly.
Yeah.
So now we have this new phase where they're trying to reset, and I bet in their heads it's, okay, we can do an ensemble after 4 years. But we already have, including TV shows, we already have 9 different things that are out. Where back then there were 4 movies
and 2 of those movies. Well, 2 of those movies was just one hero. So that's a good point.
So I think they're we can't start meshing it together until we get, 3 or 4 years into this. And now, just in, 2022 alone, we've got
36 hours of content.
yes, that none of it connects at all.
Yeah.
And the only one that well, I can't say that. Outside of Doctor Strange, WandaVision, and Spider-Man, nothing connects at all.
No.
And the only thing we have is sort of a loose promise with Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel in what is that, next year?
Actually, I think the Marvels might come out
Is it this year? Later this year?
early next year, or
That's what I thought.
might
It's
be
towards
one of the
end
last
year, at
ones
least.
this year. I can't recall for sure.
But there's so much other stuff that easy options they don't take. And that's where I'm going to get into one of my biggest gripes that they should have taken that they did not for this movie. This is a movie about Gore the God Butcher
Yep.
who's going around and killing gods.
Yep.
We just finished a series where the avatar of a god
Yep.
is the main character.
Yep.
And we only have Ra mentioned one time.
Yep. Yeah.
This is the easiest option to combine the shows. A new character, because have we had a new character from a show introduced in a movie yet, outside of Wanda's kids?
I don't think so. A new character, introduced in a show.
Introduced in a show.
Other than the same actor who plays Jarvis, I don't think so. It depends on, because there's Lady Hydra,
Yeah.
played by that lady from Seinfeld or whatever, and I don't actually know, because I think technically Black Widow was going to come out before Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out before Black Widow, so we met her in a show first, and then we see her in a movie. But
Sure.
I see what your point is.
Yeah, my big thing here is we're kind of getting into Star Wars syndrome, which is the movies are the most important. The TV shows are a separate thing. Yes, they're connected, but they're not important enough to actually feature in our films.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it's feeling.
And I don't like that. That's a gross feeling.
Yeah.
Because at first it felt kind of weird that the shows were going to be a part of the movies, because the only shows we had been Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Daredevil. Those are good in their own ways. They're filmed very differently, different budget, different writing. And it's the idea of the CW Flash showing up in the Snyder Cut.
Right.
The tones are different. But then they made it very clear that these are movie level quality.
Straight up.
The stories are the same.
Written and produced
essentially, these are just really long movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are. It's in some ways that they feel scared to mingle.
I think the ideal model they should have taken with the shows is to prevent what happened in Winter Soldier, Captain and Winter Soldier, and Civil War, where Captain Winter Soldier, we have Black Panther introduced, and then we have
Civil War. Black Panther's introduced. You said Winter Soldier.
Right, Civil War. I guess it's all Civil War then. We have Spider-Man introduced in Civil War.
Yeah.
We have Black Panther introduced, right? And then we can go back and get the movie about them. I think that works fine. The what they should do with the shows is use the shows to give a new character hours of introduction. This is who they are. This is what they're about. This is their morality, what they can do, what they can't do, and then move that character into that Civil War thing. So we know what's kind of going on already.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's what they're going to do for Secret Wars. That's what I'm hoping. But
yeah.
Bringing it back to Thor, I see what you mean, and it is frustrating. But see, the thing as well when it comes to the writing, that's got me so frustrated. And when we talked about it before, even with Waititi's signature style, I thought he handled Jane's cancer at the very least with grace. It could have been done better where it had more of an impact, but the cancer was never a joke. The cancer was never lighthearted, and it felt, at the very least, real enough that it was heavier than some stuff we've seen in the MCU for a very long time. And Gore was never really a joke. Even when Thor is quipping at him, he's not playing along.
Yeah, no.
He's not reciprocating.
I did not like... I don't know. I'm still a toss-up on the movie. I need a second watch. But what I can say of the things I enjoyed, Gore, up there.
Gore was good.
I really liked the way that...
The changes they made, I think, worked. It was sympathetic. My only real issue with him, and I don't know if it's the writing or if it was Bale, just a little bit, was that sometimes his motivation seemed rushed in some ways. The renouncement of the god went a little quick, and him kind of flipping felt a little fast too. But that's the whole movie. The whole movie is a little... It's shorter than the MCU movies we've had of late.
Right.
So everything was a little rushed.
The only thing that I would like to have seen changed with Gore is at the very end, he has like... He gets rid of the sword, or the sword's destroyed, and they go to Eternity. And is the location Eternity, or is the deity Eternity?
We'll say the location is the center of the universe.
Okay. Goes to the center of the universe with Thor and Jane, and he wishes for his daughter back. And his like last thing is Thor take care of her, essentially. And it would have been really, really cool in that moment after the curse is broken from the sword, if he would have shown remorse for all the gods he's killed.
That would have been interesting.
It just would have been like I understand what I did was wrong. I'm going to die. There's really nothing I can do now but feel bad. And no, it was like, well, anyway, here's my kid. And like, that's just the whole end of the movie.
Yeah.
So, yes. But, jumping around too much.
Yeah, but like, that's the thing. And see, looking at a lot of it, especially after 2 watches, there is a lot I don't technically like, but I feel like a lot of it is me. Like, I feel like I can actually take a step back, and a lot of it might just be me, not so much this was just bad. And, I'm not sure.
So, the major complaints I have, which really kind of pain me to say, is all in story direction and writing, which hurts because we were talking up Taika so much.
I know, but now he has proven himself to me. We've compared him to this before. He's like the anti Zack Snyder in tone, but he's absolutely MCU Zack Snyder in that he went off the rails
his way
and went so hard him that at this point it's too much.
Yeah,
it's too much. And like in the God Room, which was amazing and easily should have been something that was just cool. Just cool, just magnificent, just fun. Fill that fucker with Easter eggs from comic books, from mythology. I think he did with a couple of things. I've seen some people from New Zealand like crying. It's like, we cool, got some god representation. Great. But then we've got the god of dumplings. That's just an anime dumpling. And Korg's god sitting on a throne of scissors. Like, yes, these are funny. It's fun to talk about in the boardroom when you're putting up the storyboards. It's silly. It's good fun. It's too much. This is ridiculous.
The only one I appreciate there is the God of Carpentry.
Which one was that?
It wasn't on screen.
Yeah.
Somebody pointed him out and said, "Oh yeah, that guy's just the God of Carpentry." I think that's kind of a Jesus joke.
Oh God, no, I didn't make that connection at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking anyway. I think that's a kind of a fun like.
Well, but like there was a lot of cool shit in there, and it would have been cool to see. I kept looking for maybe Khonshu or one of them.
Any of the Egyptian
gods, and that would have been
yeah.
amazing. I don't really care so much that Zeus is so weird. Sometimes it feels like, again, this is too much, but with Greek mythology being as kind of extravagant as it is, and it's been thousands of years since then, I don't care if he's a little bit weird. What I don't like, and this is rampant throughout the movie in the same way it kind of is in Infinity War, is Thor is so weird now, and so ridiculous and so silly, that Star-Lord is a straight-up badass compared to him. Like, we have Star-Lord for all of 3 minutes, maybe, and I've found character development in him. He's no longer insecure around Thor. He's, like, mouthing Thor's speech because he's into it. Like, he doesn't feel like he has to one-up him.
Yeah.
Because he knows that Thor is a badass, and he knows that he himself is a badass. He's just being an awesome space superhero, which is all we needed him to be, and they gutted that in the Infinity War and Endgame, and he's brought it back. He's here. But now Thor looks like an absolute dumbass compared to Star-Lord, which is ridiculous.
So, yeah.
And I love Hemsworth. I love him to death. But his humor improv is not the same as acting, and it's not working. Like, it's funny on set. Again, everyone is probably laughing when he's doing his put on humor, but it's not working this time. And what bothered me a lot this is probably going to be a just me thing, but the way that Thor is talking and presenting himself as trying to be impressive and trying to be cool and trying to be a leader, knowing he isn't because he doesn't feel right, he's insecure, he's trying to figure out who he is, and I get that's the point, but him doing that in the blue and yellow with the red cape and just the blonde hair in general and his tone of voice, it comes across as Homelander. Because that's the same shit Homelander does when he's talking to people in the public because he's a celebrity. He doesn't know what he's doing. He never does. That's the point. And so he's always putting on. He's standing around with his hands on his hips, pointing at people like, you guys are the heroes. Like, that's straight up Homelander. And of course it's not the same. One's a homicidal maniac. One just is insecure and doesn't know what to do.
Right.
But because it comes across the same way, the whole movie, I just have a stomach ache because it's like, I shouldn't be getting these vibes from a decade and a half superhero that we have come to know and love as a real noble hero. And it feels so gross. When he does that little speech in, I don't know, the conference throne room of Asgard, when everyone's screaming and Valkyrie can't get people to listen, he just says Asgard and everyone listens. I'm like, okay, cool. This is going to create an interesting conflict in that Valkyrie's in charge and you might have overstepped here, Thor, but it's going to prove that people still look up to you and you're going to have to realize that this isn't your job anymore. This is Valkyrie's. And it goes nowhere. It's like, we're going to have to find the children, but to find the children, we have to first look inside. Like, all of it's bullshit.
Yep.
It's so annoying and I hate it. The only thing that almost saves that is that everybody else still sees it. The movie isn't trying to sell this as legit. Everyone sees it.
Right.
Valkyrie sees it. Star-Lord sees it. Thor is just an absolute mess. That is annoying in itself, but the fact that it's not meant to be actually believable, I don't like it, but it's not my least favorite thing. I'll get to more of my least favorite things, but I've been talking a lot. So what are your thoughts on some of this?
So my biggest problem with the whole thing is I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a say therefore it is kind of a syndrome that the movie has all throughout. It's the big examples, right? I think the biggest example, the most blatant, is after they get back to Earth, after Jane collapses in Mighty Thor version, they get her back to Earth, and we just like hard cut to Thor talking to the doctor, and the doctor says, we'll keep her here. There's just something in her body that is preventing her from fighting the cancer. And then we get to the next scene where Thor talks to Jane, and Thor says, Mjolnir is killing you. If you turn into Mighty Thor one more time, you're gonna die.
It's a big jump.
Where did the doctor didn't say that? You don't know that because of magic bullshit. You called an IV magical potions. Like, where did that come from? It's just like a say, therefore it is.
They muddled the comic book explanation as well, which they didn't need to do. Like, Thor realizing what's happening could have worked. Because, do you know how it works in the comics? I feel like I talked. Okay, so, like, she's sick. She's going through chemo. And what the hammer does is it cleanses the body of all poisons. So it's removing the chemo. So every time she turns into Thor, she's essentially removing the stuff that's trying to save her.
Yeah.
And Thor says like 40% of that, but doesn't give that real explanation. He says that it's draining her energy, which it clearly isn't.
No.
Like, that's not the explanation.
There's a lot of stuff in the movie that is that, like, we need it for plot. So here's our just one line explanation of it. Like, another thing, why does Jane want to be called Mighty Thor? We don't have any explanation. People just call her Thor. People say she's a Thor. Thor was never a title.
Right.
Not until just this movie.
Yeah, it kind of felt like they hopped really quick into the multiverse thing, which...
This isn't multiversal.
No, not yet.
And, like
There are. I mean, Thor is a title now,
Right?
Because we have multiverse comics that we have read.
Yeah, right. But that's the same thing. Like in universe, right? That's like, jumping. Like, oh, I'm not myself. I'm just my mighty ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't.
I have some thoughts on how they could have and should have done Jane differently.
And then we have Thor being able to grant his powers to an army.
See, here's the thing with that. The first time, I loved it. That was so fun to watch. That was so cute and cool, and it was fun. And it's neat. And I do believe it's maybe something that is within his power.
Sure.
Maybe. What bothered me about that is like you could do that the whole time.
Exactly, the whole time. Could we
the
give
whole
that?
time? Like people are getting on Iron Man for not giving everyone a fucking suit in Endgame.
Yeah.
And you had someone who could have made all of you gods.
Yeah, can you imagine the Infinity War battle where every single one of them was empowered by
Bestow
Thor?
the shield
Uh-huh.
with Thor powers, bestow the suit,
Or-
the bow,
or,
like
yeah.
all of it,
Yeah.
the web shooters. God damn, like you could do this the whole time.
Right.
That's some
Black
Watiti
Widow and
shit.
Hawkeye probably would have appreciated a little boost.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And that's one of the things. Like, yeah, I loved it. Mm-hmm. But
But why is it now? That's the thing. That's my big thing. Why now? Like,
and
there's so much stuff that's
when
just
did you
written
know
in.
you could do this?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And then we get, how does she have the hammer, right?
right. Like,
Because
we saw
We
kind
get
of
the,
why.
we get the flashback.
Which I don't love. I don't hate it. They at least gave an explanation, but it's not my favorite explanation.
Right. There's just a lot of like, why did you go to Asgard in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mjolnir called to me. The only description of that is she looked at books and then went on vacation.
Right.
Like,
It also
why did Mjolnir call to her?
right. I was really, really hoping it was going to be something she sought out herself and found a way to maybe fix, because I had assumed, and I think a lot of us had, that now when Odin died, the enchantment was off of it, which is why Hela could hold it and then break it. But they make it very clear that they can't move the pieces, which means the enchantment is still on it.
Right.
And what's really annoying about that is Thor didn't have to go to Nidavellir to get Stormbreaker in Infinity War. All he had to do was go
Pick it
back to
up.
fucking Norway
And pick up
and
the handle.
pick it back up.
Yeah.
Because it still works. Like, and yeah, I quickly want to get into one more thing I really, 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 truly hate before we get into some things I think were okay but could be done better.
Yes.
Quickly, Korg. I'm so over Korg. I can't stand Korg. I'm so over it. And when he got shot, I was like, oh wow, this actually kind of sucks. Like, I didn't hate him that bad. And then they dig his face out, and it's like, turns out the only part of his body that's alive is his face. Fuck you.
Like
god
Korg,
damn.
Through the entire movie, Korg, more so now than in Ragnarok. In Ragnarok, Korg felt like a fun addition to the
Yeah,
team.
it was like whatever. It's like, yeah, you took a character that's meant to be a badass, made him silly, fine, whatever. No one cares because it's Korg.
Korg in this movie really honestly felt like Taika said, I want to be in the movie.
Yeah.
And like, I want to be funny. I want to be a main character.
This isn't our flag means death though. Like,
yeah. Right. We have main characters. We have a lot of main characters that need the spotlight. So
and
why
returning characters.
Yeah, so why are you like trying
singing stupid songs,
whistling
in
to the
moments.
goats?
Yeah, like,
and like
you know
talking about
the thing that didn't bother me this whole goddamn movie? The fucking goats.
Goats, yeah.
Because the goats don't compare to some of this other shit that we had to deal with.
Yeah.
But yeah.
One more
Korg-
thing that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. It's just this is the thing I truly hate. Truly. The personification of the weapons.
I was gonna say that's something that I don't truly hate.
I hate it.
I think it can be done better. That's the thing. I didn't like how it works in this, but if we give a lot of the magic weapons, like not personality per se, but sentience in that way, that is a cool idea.
Yeah, well, I misspoke because the hammer. I binge watched the comic story and Jane Thor story before watching the movie, so I found out what actually is inside the hammer. And it's like a two gods or something that were a storm. And like, yeah, it can think. Cool. Good. Yeah, love it. But it's not so much that there might be the One Ring about the hammer and the axe. It's one, the fact that the axe gives a shit, and more so than that, the way Thor acts about it. The way Thor treats Stormbreaker as like this weird sitcom relationship thing, when in Endgame it didn't matter. He and Cap had the opposite weapons, and he wanted the axe because in the moment it was better. He didn't give a shit about the hammer, but all of a sudden it's like his first love,
and it gets jealous.
Yeah, you could have done that in ways that felt believable and interesting. It's like, yeah, I really love this person, but I also feel like this weapon that I've had for a long time, like there's a certain level of maybe royalness about it that I don't really know. I don't know if this is working for me.
Yeah.
That this mortal person has this, and like, wow, maybe I shouldn't be thinking that way, because I didn't mind that Cap had it, but again, Cap was a superhero. Like I just don't know if this is right. But it's not that. Yeah. It's not that at all. It's just the fact that and again, it's Chris Hemsworth walking around being silly, and everyone on set is laughing, and Taika's like, yeah, perfect, because that was funny. But that just doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense. And it's so dumb. And it creates this stupid caveat of we can no longer travel with just Stormbreaker because it's pissed off at
mad.
You.
Yeah.
Like,
well, okay. There's two moments that I think are like unredeemable because of how bad they were.
Bring it on.
One thing that I just want to ask about.
Yeah.
Is there a range on the distance that Thor can call Stormbreaker?
Oh. See, I was thinking about that too, because in Dark World, he's hopping all over the universe, and the hammer keeps coming. I was thinking the same thing. So as soon as he leaves and he's back on Earth and Gorr has it, just summon the fucking thing.
Summon it, yeah.
And with it being Bifrosty, it should be able to come back. Dude, I thought the same thing, and that really irked me.
Yeah, they get thrown down in New Asgard. They get thrown down to the ground. They roll a bit. Jane grabs Valkyrie and takes her to the hospital. Mm-hmm. And Thor just like sort of stands there and stares. It's like, try.
Do so,
I can understand if you can't summon it, but give us that moment of like,
it won't work. Out. It's outside of whatever. Like, it's too far. Like, yeah, that's something. Again, this is one of those things where we call out other directors. Mm-hmm. Watch the damn movies.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of lore set up here. There are rules that have been established, and these movies make billions of dollars because people like us who go to see them and pay attention and like it. This is something we enjoy.
Yeah,
we know how this works to some degree. Like, come on.
That's what the most disappointing part of this whole thing is just like I said, Ragnarok was fun and felt in world.
Right. And see, that thing about Ragnarok as well, because I thought about that too. Ragnarok worked because a lot of the silliness, a lot of it took place on Sakaar with a very extravagant weirdo leader with people from all over the universe all thrown into a trash heap. Everyone's a little fucked up.
Yeah.
Everyone's a little weird. It made sense.
Yep.
It made sense for the most part. It really did. This time, it just doesn't. And it's not just that it's weird or silly. It's that we have three, technically, very, very serious, dark, deep, heavy things going on in Jane's cancer, Gorr's massacre, and the fact that a whole horde of children were kidnapped by the God Butcher, and Thor, there's no urgency. There's no urgency the whole time. There's like, quote unquote, urgency, but there really isn't, and that drives me nuts. The fact that he like gets antsy that the kids are talking to him and he wants Axel to like turn off the call real quick. Like, you're Thor. You are technically, and have been for a long time, a leader to some degree. Whether you want to be a king or not, you have always been a leader. You're a superhero.
You killed Thanos twice. Like, you were instrumental in killing Thanos twice.
Right.
You can handle a room full of
and you
children.
Just abandoned them.
Yeah.
Like, granted, you weren't there. I get it. People are going to nitpick that. But you were comforting them. And then you just left because it's silly. Mm-hmm. And that I find very frustrating. Because as much as I hate kids, I'm an oldest of 5, and I babysit my goddaughters a lot. So like
Yeah,
my
like,
gut instinct
well, that's
is
the thing.
you did all of this wrong.
We're not superheroes at all, but I would kill to throw a Deadpool suit on and go visit a hospital.
Right, exactly.
Like-
but like the urgency of going to rescue these kids who are in the possession of right now the most dangerous guy you know of in the whole fucking universe, and the urgency isn't there.
Yeah.
It just isn't.
Yeah.
At all. They don't even. I mean, like the fact that the other gods don't care. I found that that's fine. Like it's pretentious and shitty, and like it works. But like the fact that Thor is just, you can't go outside and talk to your axe to fix this stupid problem, to make it easier and quicker to save these kids. And on that note, I hate to really nitpick, Heimdall has a kid.
Heimdall
now
has a kid, yeah, and we see his mom too.
All good and fine. We don't have to meet every Asgardian. But when did this happen?
We should know about Heimdall's kid.
And worse than that, who are these other fucking alien kids, and where are they coming from? One of
Yeah.
them's a werewolf. Like,
Yeah, we have a lichen, we have a bird guy.
Like, I either talked about this in the trailer video or just in one of our episodes. Like, Asgard is a great big tourist destination. Fine.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's on Earth. Earth's gross. We'd probably do that. Mm-hmm. But the process would have been nice to have seen or heard about. Like, we don't even get, like, Valkyrie to, like, yeah, you know, like, we were trying, but it was kind of hard in the way this world works with economies and whatnot. We needed some revenue. I found a way to do it, and this is what it is. Like, nothing is explained as to why Asgard is now Disney World. Like, see, the more I talk about it, the more I don't like it. Like, I hate that walking out of this movie, one of the top 5 coolest things was the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which were in the first 15 minutes.
Exactly.
That's it.
I don't think Drax had a single line. Nebula had maybe 3. All Mantis did was growl.
He had a line.
Did he have a line? Maybe yelling about the goats? Cool.
It might have been the goats. I think it was like when he had the bazooka on his shoulder.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But whatever.
But yeah, I'm going on and on and on. It's just, it's very frustrating because at this point, it's like Waititi is a powerhouse of humor and color and style that can't be stopped, but there's no real solid thought
This isn't the
behind
place
it. It is
for
the
this.
exact
Yeah.
opposite of Snyder, only in tone.
I almost gave it a pass at the end of the movie. If the whole thing. So I just watched Last Duel
Yes.
last weekend.
I have not.
Good movie. It takes place in 4 acts. 3 of the acts are point of view. Imagine this story, but told in that way.
Be really
this
cool.
whole first part, this whole movie essentially, is Korg's telling. It's ridiculous. It's whatever. Then we get Thor, and it's like Thor's being the hero, and he's over the top, and everything's like he's actually mighty and whatever. Then we get Jane's story, and it's like the actual truth.
Yeah.
This is what actually happened. That I would have given a pass because like it's
See,
being
I thought you were going to say Thor, Jane, and Gore,
Gore would be cool too,
right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't need any more Korg.
Well, that's where I was gonna say it almost got a pass for me. If they would have like ended the movie with Korg saying like, "Yeah, but that's what I think. I wasn't there for most of it." Like that would have been like okay, so this whole movie's just a story that Korg was telling. It's like kind of canon, like beside canon is kind of where it's at. But no, it's given as fact.
It's
So another thing I just want to talk about. I think yes, they did Jane's cancer very well.
Yeah, just seeing what it could have been. God, but
Well, that's my big thing. She dies at the end of the movie. I didn't care. Like when she actually died. This is Jane. I care about that character.
Right.
Why do I not care that she's dying?
I think for one, it's that God dies, which I don't think she should have.
I don't think she should have.
I don't think she should have Voldemorted away. Second, because I
also that makes Thor a liar, by the way.
Makes Thor a liar.
We'll get back to it.
Oh, okay. But I watched that comic, and in that comic, she does die. She gets to the gates of Valhalla, actually meets Odin, and back in the real world, they're trying to bring her back, and she doesn't go through. And because the secret ending was her in Valhalla, but we don't see her go all the way in, I don't think she's dead. If she's dead, this movie will bother me forever, because I was really excited for Mighty Thor to be part of the new Avengers lineup.
And that's something too that listener is talking to me about. It's Marvel's in a real rough spot of giving female heroes one good thing and then they're gone. Like we've had, I mean, Black Widow,
and
just
she's
dead for nothing,
Yeah.
and without really having a lot of important things written or given to her. I almost said Ghidorah. Gamora, thank you. Gamera is the turtle?
The turtle.
Thank you.
And Ghidorah is the dragon.
Right.
Like,
Too many. But yeah, Gamora has, Guardians 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then
dead.
a little bit of something.
Infinity War.
in
But that's the
Infinity
one
War?
where she
Yeah.
dies.
Yeah. And we have like
Marvel.
well, yeah,
But
Captain Marvel.
her sequel is now a team up, a threequel essentially. Because
I mean, Pepper even has one moment,
yeah,
really, like honestly, one moment in the
Right.
whole series, and she's been there since movie 1.
right. See, yeah, if that becomes the ongoing trend now, that Captain Marvel, Jane, She-Hulk, others are gonna pop up and then duck out for some sort of multiversal reboot, that's gonna irk me hard.
And I mean, even Wanda.
Yeah.
They she was able to do more, but then they're
The
like,
only out she gets is that is what her thing is in the comics. Is that she is a bad guy. But no, and you're right.
yeah, there's just so we have movie after movie. I mean, think about it. The only female-led movies we have, Black Widow,
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. Is that all in phase 1 through 3?
I thought there was one other. I guess you could technically argue Eternals is.
Eternals. Phase 1 through 3, though.
Oh, 1 through 3? Yeah, so there's those two.
In all the movies, we have 2 female-led, and one of them had their part pulled essentially from Infinity War and Endgame, or excuse me, not Infinity War, from Endgame, because audience didn't like the movie in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Audience didn't like the movie,
Right.
aka it's a female character. So she has one moment, and then
Right.
that's it for the entirety of the movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, Black Widow technically isn't even phase 3. It's
Exactly.
early phase 4. And all she does is
They're
espionage.
unfortunately they're struggling, and they don't need to struggle, but they are.
Yeah. So yeah, the fact that we get another strong female character, I mean, fuck, Eternals, strong female characters ripped away from the universe.
Yep.
Now,
All gone.
then we have Miss Marvel, which we don't know what happened.
Yeah, we're behind.
But yeah,
Valkyrie also didn't get to do a whole lot as
dude,
well.
writing Valkyrie out of this movie was fucking
I know.
a mistake.
I'm really frustrated. So one of our listeners compared it to Sif. That pissed me off. First time we've seen Sif in close to 10 years.
That's what I was going to talk about with Sif.
Oh my god.
That's what makes Thor a liar.
Oh yeah, because Jane didn't die in battle.
Jane didn't die in battle and went to Valhalla.
Yeah.
So Sif would have been fine.
Yeah. Yeah. That, God, just the fact that meeting Sif again for the first time became a joke pissed me off. Just hardcore. And then again, she has nothing to do with the movie. So why did we bring Sif back?
Yeah.
And then, but my argument there, that when they compared Sif to Valkyrie, was at least Valkyrie's in the movie, but that doesn't mean a whole lot.
Because, man,
But I had heard back when they announced this that Valkyrie was going to be looking for her queen. That's not here. She's not actively looking.
there was one line.
There's dialogue about her not wanting to look.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, and Korg just fucking hits a nail on the head. Whoop-de-doo. Korg's a fucking mind reader, too.
Korg also says that he has 2 dads. Fine.
Sure.
I don't care about that. But in Ragnarok, he references he has a mom. So which is it, Watiti?
I don't know.
Like, this movie is very gay. All good and fine.
Sure.
I don't hate that. That's definitely one reason it's getting some bad reviews. That's one reason. Not the only reason. It is one reason.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah. Valkyrie felt like she was written poorly throughout the whole thing.
She felt like the older sibling helping
Not
the
even
wingmaning
that.
one
Not
for
even
a
that.
while.
She fucking used her hair to tie Korg's face to
Oh
the
my
back of
God,
her
I
head.
know.
That's not Valkyrie.
The fact that that's even a sentence
Right. The Valkyrie we saw in Ragnarok
was
is
hardcore.
Hardcore, badass, cutthroat.
Yeah.
And now we have, oh, don't worry, buddy, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
There's room for the character being different as she has now had 5+ years of
Absolutely.
of bureaucracy in a
But
way.
bureaucracy wouldn't make her
Not
this
that.
soft whatever.
The thing I wanted so badly, and this goes back to just how they should have done Jane a little better.
Mm-hmm.
They show real soon in story-wise, she and Jane have an understanding really early on that Valkyrie knows about the cancer.
Yeah.
She's keeping it to herself because Jane has asked. And they have a really cool friendship. And I would have loved to have seen that actually begin. That's what... Okay, first of all, just... This is going to be a bit of a longer one. Just purely structure of the film.
Yeah.
I don't think we should immediately find out that Jane has cancer. Because this movie, more than any other MCU movie ever, really felt like it just assumed we all read the comic book. And
Yeah.
none of them have ever felt like that, you know what I mean? Like, you watch some of those movies, and there's characters wearing masks, and these characters are 50 years old now. It's like, we know who that is. Take
Like-
off that
like
mask.
Taskmaster?
Yeah, like something like that. That felt like an unnecessary twist. But like,
Well, that's what I'm saying,
we
like-
are supposed to know because he's so old. We know the deal in a
Right.
way. But Jane being Thor, Jane having the hammer, Jane being sick in the comics as well is part of the twist. And I think we should have had some Thor stuff. Got to them meeting. He figures out it's Thor, and for us audience-wise, the first time we see Jane, she's Thor.
Yeah.
And then we get kind of the Deadpool structure of, all right, we're at a bit of a lesser fighting gore part. We're going to get some flashbacks, some story explanation of finding out she was sick, her trying to fix it, her becoming Thor, and maybe she was Thor for 4 or 5 months.
And
because Valkyrie references that she's already really good at it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That would also allow for, why is she called Thor? Because she has Mjolnir, she has the armor, she looks like Thor from afar.
Right, and she has a mask. People would be calling her Thor.
Yeah, people would say Thor's back, and he's been out with the Guardians for so long.
Exactly. The way, and like that could maybe be a thing, but the way the movie portrays it, this is all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Meaning that she becomes Thor for all of a day and is already really good at it, has already talked to Valkyrie. Like, they haven't even met yet. It's just, there were ways to do it, and that would have been really good. And then we as an audience find out later, or in those flashbacks, or, you know, again, a little bit of Deadpool, later flashbacks. Like, why are you so dedicated to this, Jane? Like, why do you care? It's like, well, because I don't have a lot of time left, and I want to do something. You know, I know you, and then you spend years surrounded by superheroes, and then the blip happened. Like, I couldn't do anything, and now I can, and I don't have a lot of time to do it, which is why I want to do it now. And then we're like, shit, man, didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like, this movie, for anyone who didn't know anything about the comics, it's kind of an initial, like, what the fuck punch to the nuts that this character that, first of all, we haven't seen in, like, 7 years is dying.
Yep.
Like, for me, it's already really sad because I know it.
Yeah.
But not everyone's going to know that.
Yeah, and that was another thing that, like, a detriment to the writing that I'm talking about. Like, it's just, yep, well, she has cancer now, and that's where we are. And, like, there's no lead up. We don't get a diagnosis. We don't get that, like, man, nothing sucks worse than, like, in a movie sense, sitting in that exam room waiting for the results the first time. If we get that instead, or if, like, you know, it's stage 4 and she's already towards the end of it by the time the movie kicks in. But if we were able to see that somewhere else in the MCU, man, that would have hit a whole lot harder.
Yeah,
and then getting Mjolnir would have hit so much harder then, because it's like, we've seen this character for, you know, like if we saw her in Ragnarok, right? We've seen this character for 5 years struggle, and now she has strength again. How empowering would that be?
I really wish we would have had maybe a Jane Foster series to establish this, like you said, and then we find out at the end of the show she had cancer the whole time.
Yeah.
And then she's introduced in this movie, and we know it going in now,
Right.
but we don't have to spend time doing it. Not that I hated this time spent.
Of course not.
Like, this is one of those ones, I think it could have been longer to allow that to really develop. And like I said, I really hope she's not actually dead, because there's so much potential for this
Right.
character.
Well, that's one issue that I have with the multiverse opening, is that, like, maybe she is, we'll just go get a new one, kind of a thing. Like, that possibility's there. And, like, that allows Marvel and Disney to, like, oh, she tested well, everyone's asking for more Jane, so we'll just go pull her from another multiverse
Right.
now.
What's
Like,
weird to think is that they actually killed her off. I just can't fathom that, because even if Marvel is being gross, which so far it just seems like they aren't being as good as they could be, I can't fathom they're making all these more diverse films and shows. Captain Carter did well enough in 5 minutes that it's rumored she's getting a show, and they're not going to continue Mighty Thor. Like,
Yeah.
that just doesn't sound right. That doesn't sit right.
No.
That for me. The secret ending says that they're not, because otherwise, why would you show that? You know what I mean? Like
To
that's
get Heimdall in there
I
again.
mean, maybe, but it's right out of the comic book. It's right out of there. And the fact that we don't see her walk in, that says to me that's exactly what they're doing. That she will be back. Because we don't, it's the same rules in a way. We don't see a body because she dies in this weird eternity realm.
Okay. What if... Here you go. This is going to be a wild one.
Okay.
What if we get a movie
Yeah.
that's like a Doctor Strange / like Ghost Rider thing, where
Okay.
they team up and jump afterlife to afterlife.
Oh my god.
To like consult people or whatever.
Ooh.
And then there we get to Valhalla, and she's there, and she's like, "Yep, I'm done being dead. Let's get out there."
That'd be kind of awesome.
Right?
That would be kind of awesome. I'd be down for that.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Last thing I don't like, and it's not so much I don't like, but I don't get, Gore's kid. I had assumed that when Jane says she won't be alone, it's because 5 minutes ago there was a group of children that we as an audience
I
have
was
seen,
thinking,
and
yeah.
she's going to go live with kids, which she didn't have
Right.
on her
I
dying
was
planet.
thinking-
She's going to go live with other people,
Exactly
and other
that.
kids, and Valkyrie's going to raise her to be an amazing badass. But no,
Yeah,
Thor is Daddy Thor now.
I was thinking the exact same thing. I was thinking she's not alone, and then Gore was like, there are millions of people on Earth if we go back to Earth, and I've seen the universe.
And compared to your planet, Earth is a paradise.
Right, I've seen the universe. There's so many places she can go.
But Thor is raising her. And not only is Thor raising her, she has superpowers. Mm-hmm. That makes me profoundly
Dude,
uncomfortable.
Why does she have powers?
See, that's the thing. And it's going to make this movie worse if it's true, is I don't think that's the kid.
Gore didn't have
Especially with that
powers?
reflection thing, which was a cool shot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's almost kind of like that movie Annihilation with Natalie Portman in it.
Yeah.
Is that they have released something.
Maybe.
Something that's not supposed to be out there because
the
she's
wish-
got fucking laser vision.
Yeah, the wish was sort of like an excuse for some demon or whatever to inhabit
Or
the
maybe
body.
it is eternity. Like the embodiment of eternity needed a way out and it found a way out for some stupid reason. And this child is child eternity. Because otherwise, why does she have superpowers?
Yeah, it's not a racial thing. Unless like you're gonna try and write in like all the females of that planet had
They don't.
laser vision. They don't. No.
No, they don't.
Because if they did, that
No,
planet
you're
wouldn't
right.
be like that.
And see, and here's the thing. This isn't going to bother a lot of people because Gore, while awesome, is not old enough to have the kind of fan base that he has.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of the God Butcher's daughter becoming a god would be like finding out that Uncle Ben kills uncles. Like after all this time, this character that's been this thing, like
I'm the Uncle
is,
Slayer.
This is the exact opposite. This is the one thing I told you not to do. Like,
yeah.
It's one of those things where I think it's fine in the movie. You know, like this idea of maybe there's this kid now running around with godlike powers. Interesting, compelling. Let's explore that. But at the same time, why and how and why?
It really feels like they're trying to gear up for like a full-on like Young Avengers,
Which they are, but when the fuck did the Godchild join this?
When has that ever been? Like, I'm cool with the like if it's new, cool with it, cool with the new.
Right.
But just laser vision. Why do we
and
need
who knows what
that?
else?
Yeah, and can wield Stormbreaker, so like has super strength or whatever.
Yeah.
But
And he's raising her to be a little badass god. Like, so yeah, this is essentially supposed to be Thor's kid.
right. Yeah, I don't know. And he's
just-
probably gonna wish his powers to her too. So
And see, I was really, really hoping, because it looked like they're setting it up, that he would wish for Jane to survive, because his person is truly gone. But Thor's person isn't.
not yet.
And he could save her. And I thought, that'd be a little campy, just a little bit, but I think it would work. And it'd be fine. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
but
imagine
no.
Gore falling unconscious, right? Hand falls in the water pool of the center of the universe or whatever, and he gets to the line, "My love is gone, but yours is not."
That was one of the lines that felt too rushed. Was like Christian Bale's he's really acting. It's like you could bring her back, Gore. I'm dying.
Yep.
Like really quick. Like, oh yeah, okay.
I'm dying.
Yeah, can't do it. God, whatever. That's about it. I think for all the stuff that really bothered me. So yeah, here's the thing. Again, even after talking about it, I don't hate it yet. There's some things that need to be officially followed up on in the next 2 or 3 years that will define my true opinion on it. Because watching it, if I can get past how annoying Thor and Korg are, Jane was great.
So
Gore was great. Zeus was interesting to see. One of the better secret endings as of late, I would say. Hercules is here. Awesome, dope, love that. But
I have one problem with Zeus.
yeah,
He's alive.
yeah.
Why? He took his
Bolt
god
to the
weapon
chest.
to the center of the chest. Loki got his neck squeezed, and he's dead. He's a god,
Yeah.
and he's dead.
Well, see, that bothered me at first. I like that he's not dead, because we went to Omnipotent City to talk to gods, to warn them that gods are being killed. And then we killed a god and left. Like, this is really? Really?
I don't know. There's something about that, like, now he's not dead. I think it would have been more impactful if the secret ending was, Hercules coming back from a mission and discovering that Zeus has been killed.
Right.
And like, oh, who did it? I don't understand why. I'm going to go.
It would have been cool if maybe Apollo was there healing him or something, a god of medicine in the city of gods. Like, him not dying in the city of gods, I can get behind, because there are reasons, but they don't show us that, like you're right. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, sorry, I got a hole in my sternum, esophagus, and windpipe, but I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I get he's a god, immortal, whatever. But we watched a god early. We have the god Butcher kill gods.
That's another thing. I would have liked to have seen him actually kill
do
some
it.
gods, like to establish why we should be so scared. And then the last thing that I didn't like, I just had it. Where did it go? It was just one little annoying thing. Oh no, not that didn't like. Last point. For me, viewing experience wise, it was the opposite of Multiverse of Madness. Because of the expectations, I enjoyed watching Multiverse of Madness the second time more, because I didn't have such ridiculous expectations, and it felt like a Doctor Strange movie for the most part. Really, I think it did. This was worse the second time, because it's just rough, man.
Yeah. One thing that I liked about the movie, the first fight scene in New Asgard,
It was pretty dope.
before the children got stolen.
Yeah.
And when Thor finds out that Jane is
Yeah. Fighting Gore.
fighting Gore. one thing that
Or
I
sneaking
super
up on the city, like
right. One thing that I super liked about that was Valkyrie fighting in a t-shirt and gym sword.
Oh, yeah.
She just woke up.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Ah, shit, give me my sword."
Mm-hmm.
That was a cool, like, you don't ever really see that a whole lot.
Yeah.
Where it's like, "Oh, I wasn't ready for this fight, but we're doing it
here
anyway."
we go. Yeah, I like that a lot too.
Yeah, and like not every, but a lot of characters have it built in how they can like change into their suits.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, Valkyrie's got to strap that armor on.
Yeah, that was honestly a weird thing about Jane, that we don't really get to see a transformation sequence.
It's just
Like a weird, they cut a weird corner in like the special effects department.
yeah, it just
And
snaps on.
I almost swear the outfit she wears when she's looking in the mirror, when she feels sick before they leave, versus the outfit she wears when they get back, I swear they're different. But I'm not sure. I wasn't really paying attention.
I don't know.
But yeah, just
Yeah, I don't know.
so I guess upon reflection, I like it less than I thought.
I came out of the theater knowing I did not like the movie.
Yeah. It's weird for me, though, because in my mind, I'd almost still rather watch it, given a couple of weeks, more than I'd want to watch Black Widow. But I've also only seen Black Widow once, and you know how I be about you need to see it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Black Widow just hurt me,
Yeah, I
and
don't know.
it's not as fun.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, it was a movie that will hold your attention because it's colorful, it's fast, it's exciting,
It's Watiti.
but it's not good.
No.
Like, I mean, it's the same thing with like Joker. I
Yeah.
fucking love that movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I've only watched it a handful of times because it is not one
To
that
rewatch.
I can go back into. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like Star Wars Episode 2, that's a trash fire.
Mm-hmm.
But goddamn, is it a flashy
Is it
ass
pretty to
trash
look
fire?
at?
Yeah. So I think that's where it falls for me. Like, yes, I would rather watch this again than Dark World. Like,
Yeah.
but
It's honestly hard to tell which one is dumber. Because I feel like Dark World, it's just so boring in that we just don't care. Like, the Thor stuff is still cool. The Loki stuff is still cool.
I don't know.
The other thing as well that kind of pissed me off a little bit was Korg's retelling of the last Thor movies and just re-emphasized how insignificant the deaths of Volstagg, Vandrel, and Hogan were.
That guy, this guy,
Whoever
this
that
is.
was, like,
Yep.
motherfucker, like, goddamn.
Yeah.
That was Hogan. And granted, we don't do a whole lot with Hogan, but he's there.
He's
In the
there.
first Thor movie, they set him up, all of them up, because they're Thor characters in the comics and cartoons. Like, these guys are important.
They're
These are
big,
badasses.
big characters. Yeah.
Yeah. And you just,
The top Asgardian warriors,
yeah.
and nothing.
You did nothing with them. You Snydered him in the same way Snyder Jimmy Olsen his Jimmy Olsen and,
Yep.
and would have riddled his Riddler. Like,
Yeah.
it's rough. And honestly, this is the first time I've been truly worried for the greater MCU.
I think this is going to be a big problem for the greater MCU.
Part of me, the optimistic part, thinks this is the same thing that happened post 2012. They were trying to figure out what they were doing. They got to Avengers, blew up, did great, and they're like, "Well, we got this." Iron Man 3 happened, and and then Thor 2 happened, and we don't have this. We need to bring it in a little bit. And then, honestly, for me, post Dark World hits. Opinions vary, but they've been solid.
Right.
They've been
agreed.
hits. But now post Endgame, it's like, we got this. It's like, no, you clearly don't right now. You need to bring it back again.
The
and
only problem.
Focus a little bit.
Yeah, I hope that's the case. The difference between now and back then is they have essentially quota after quota of content to just push out. We have series, we have movies, we have everything that just needs to be pushed out. We can't worry about the story. We got to get the next episode of fucking Spider-Man and I couldn't think of something funny. We got to get our
Spider-Man and Ghost Rider team up.
Yeah, we got to get that out. We got to get that out the door. We have to have Moon Knight 4 and 5 done by tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like there's no time to think about greater story.
Right.
Because of how often it's being pushed.
What's weird as well, though, and like, yeah, I'm now worried overall, but at the same time, as far as reflection goes, when you remove Love and Thunder from the equation, I'm not worried anymore. Because a lot of it is just the directors have a little too much control over the film, that there's not as much rein in, and a lot of it's opinionated, and a lot of it is a different direction as far as diversity and experimentation, which by itself isn't bad.
No.
I wasn't worried, because like the shows have been hits, for me at least, all of them, since WandaVision, other than What If, they've been great for me. I still liked Eternals. Shang-Chi was great.
Right.
Spider-Man was great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hasn't been all that, it really hasn't been bad. But this is not where we should be
right
at this point in time.
I think that this is going to be a big breaking point for a lot of casual fans.
Yeah.
Because we've had, like, people who don't watch the series. It's like, I've followed, because this is like where my dad is. He's followed all the movies up until, he's caught up to, he watched Shang-Chi. No, he didn't. What did he watch? I think he's caught up to at least Endgame, a couple more movies out of order after that. But the reason is he caught up all the way for Endgame. And now it's like, okay, I don't want to put my energy into learning a new character in Moon Knight or Miss Marvel or whatever. I just want to stick to what I know. It's like, okay, fine. Then I have Thor. I know that guy. I know that guy hard. They're going to watch this movie and think, I can't put energy into watching the people I know do this. Mm-hmm. And it's just not going to go.
Yeah.
We've got nowhere to go but up, but you have to get people to watch it to go up, you know? Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think the fatigue is hitting people, so now they're being selective at what they watch. And the stuff that people are going to select isn't enough, is my fear.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because I was talking to my dad today about it, and kind of explained, not with spoilers, of course, but like just the general stuff. And he said, well, maybe this is where I start slowing down and try and focus on something else.
Because
like,
it's so ridiculous.
And that's the problem. That's the Marvel fatigue that I'm seeing, is people are wanting to slow down and Marvel wants to speed up.
Yeah.
They're pushing more and more and more when people want to watch less and less and less. So it's not a good...
No. I definitely, after this, I felt like I need a Thor break. Like, I don't...
Yeah.
I don't want any more of that, because it's just... It was charming in Ragnarok, and it seemed like he was kind of brought back in Infinity War. In Endgame, he was a different kind of broken, and it was still fine. This is different.
It's weird to think, but like, our fears for this movie came completely true, but for the wrong reason.
For the wrong reasons. Like, again,
Gore was incredible.
Right. And again, you will notice the goats have only been mentioned once in passing.
Yeah.
I was ready to hate those things, and they really were frustrating. The CGI wasn't as good as it could have been, but they don't compare.
Didn't matter. Yeah.
They don't compare.
The goats were fine. Gore wasn't goofy.
No. He was like twisted, almost sometimes like a Joker, dare I say it.
Yeah. And then the movie overall was too Taika.
Much. Yeah. And one thing I've truly loved forever, and it's an issue I've had with the DC movies, is that honestly, and this will be my last point, because we're coming up on our time. As weird or as cosmic or as magical as we got in the MCU, everything still looked like it could all be in the same room. Because what it was this version of a world, and we just see different tones of it. Yep. In that, in the MCU that we've established, there would be kids like Miss Marvel who don't have a lot of things to worry about. It's just all good and fun.
100%.
But there's also mercenaries like Moon Knight. So the tone is different. The world's the same. You could still see Khonshu in Miss Marvel, and it would work. You could see Miss Marvel in Guardians of the Galaxy. It would work. The visuals, the aesthetic, the style of whatever, it works.
Yeah.
But now we have a rock god that sits on a throne of scissors.
We're losing it.
And
Yeah.
a dumpling with anime eyes.
Right. We saw
Like-
what a good pantheon.
A couple of
Looks like.
times we've seen what a good pantheon looks like.
Yeah.
And we've
And-
seen the adjacent pantheon. We have the Eternals, the Egyptian gods, and Asgard.
Right, and to
we've
think-
seen it.
To think that like Ra and like Khonshu and Amahotep and like all the is that a god or is that a
I don't know.
whatever. All of these gods who are like regal as shit in Moon Knight. They're all like, you know, like Khonshu and he's all tall and dark and everything like this, right? And then we have, you know, Osiris or Anubis comes up to Ra or excuse me, comes up to Khonshu and says, "Hey, bud, I'm gonna go watch Zeus fucking fly around and
Yeah,
shit.
like-
You want to go? I got tickets." Like that doesn't make sense. They even say in the movie maybe Ra will be there.
Yeah.
And like they talk him up a little bit
Yeah,
too.
they do.
And like I can't
And
see.
they cut a reference, or like they didn't film a reference in Moon Knight to Gore. Like they set it up. There was
Yeah.
going to be the Egyptian gods talk. Like again, your point. They're
It's the
easy
easiest
places
option, yeah.
to reference these things.
It's just, and that's where like my concern throughout the whole thing has been with since Eternals is nothing feels like it can combine anymore, and this pushes it even further away because like the gods we've seen, Moon Knight did an incredible job addressing afterlife with multiple pantheon. It did an incredible job with gods in the first place, saying like they're just these big powerful beings, yes, but they're not like they're not all knowing like they
Right.
were worshipped to be.
They're essentially people with powers.
Big superheroes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just really big, super strong superheroes.
And they neglect people.
right.
Because, this creates a lot of very frustrating
Ra
thought
has an
processes.
avatar, right? Or was he trapped?
I don't know. That's the thing. This is going to be a different episode. I want to talk about the
Okay.
gods in this because they've introduced like 4 different versions, which can coexist, but also
It's
we got to
just-
bring it back a little bit. We got to reel it in.
The reference to Ra is my big thing because if he did have an avatar, right? Like he has an avatar who is like I don't know, a Wall Street journalist or whatever, who's like just doing his own thing, being the sun god's avatar. And in the meantime, he's kicking back with grapes, watching, you know, fucking watching Mars do a backflip while everyone claps and they're planning their orgy.
Yeah.
Like,
That's honestly the only thing that didn't bother me about that humor, just because of how the Greeks were. Like, I get it's
sure,
Watiti throwing in stupid
but
jokes.
That's my big thing. Sure, do that for the Greeks. Don't make that an all god thing.
yeah.
Because like now we're every god is just it's all Greek. Like
Right.
make that the joke. Thor and whatever. They're going to go talk to Zeus because they're like Zeus. He's like the big cheese at our god meetings. We
Right.
have the big cheese. Right now he's at Mount Olympus. I fucking hate going there. It's always over the top. It's always they're probably fucking right now.
Yeah.
Here we go. And then we have that scene. But don't make it like all gods worship Zeus.
Right.
And
I had a thought about that, though.
yeah.
Just because there is clearly a god meeting, and Zeus has some pull, but the only one drooling is Thor. And I almost wonder if Zeus is the Michael Scott of gods, and Thor is Dwight, in that he's hard for him,
I
but
don't know.
everyone else is kind of like, yeah, he's here. He
There
has a certain position, but like
There was way too
we don't
much
really give a
applause
fuck.
and laughter
Yeah.
after because like
Well, no one cared when he died, which makes me think like they don't
I think
care.
that was just
Period.
I think it was just a shock thing.
Yeah. All right.
Because like he shows up, everyone's cheering. His storm comes up, everyone's chanting Zeus as he's coming in,
That's
and then he
true.
throws his
That's-
lightning bolt.
I
Everyone
guess.
goes nuts. Everyone tries to catch the bolts as they're going by.
Fair enough. See, I thought I had it there. but
No.
That's probably where we're gonna have to cut it, unfortunately. But yeah,
Movie in one word:
rough.
muddled.